Continuing with our lesson 7, historical analysis. Don't waste a good crisis is one of the quotes that I heard during this COVID from my discipler. And when I heard it, I said, wow, that's a nice quote. I'd like to use it because it came from my discipler. But when I heard that that was actually a quotation from Winston Churchill, and he quoted this or uttered it during a time of crisis during World War II, it had more impact to me. In the same way with historical analysis, when we gather information about a text and get to know more about the background, the impact of that text becomes greater. And even the historical information becomes important to us. So, historical analysis. What are the objectives at this point? List several categories to consider in studying the historical and cultural background of a given text. Discuss the process involved in summarizing and incorporating the information to your study. Robert Choina said, because the books of the Bible were written in a specific historical setting, and because they were addressed to those who live in a concrete historical situation, it is imperative that one utilize their historical background if one is to recreate the message of their authors. So, what historical information can be gleaned from the text? Author, for instance, asks questions about the family, educational background, occupation, stature in society, accomplishments. So, Psalm 46, for instance, it's mentioned there, the sons of Korah. So get to know something about the sons of Korah. Who are they? And then letter B, readers, would you read it please? When Old Testament texts, especially the Psalms, refer to faithful ones, this is usually referring to believers in the Old Testament. Letter C, circumstance. What was the situation, circumstance of the audience? What was happening at the time of writing? Is it a time of peace, a time of war? Letter D, would you read it please? Letter E, date. When was the book written? Letter F, individuals named. Who was mentioned in the text? G, geography. What places were mentioned in the text? H, would you read it please? So even archaeological information can help us in our research. However, there are some limitations as well. What are cultural information that can be gleaned from the text? Example would be religious customs, civil and political customs, social and domestic customs. For instance, in 1 Chronicles 20, which is most likely the background of Psalm 46, what was the significance of the Ark of the Covenant? What was the significance of fasting? What is the process involved in trying to identify the historical situation or historical background of a text? Letter A, read the text with the view of locating historical and cultural links or references. Letter B, isolate the historical and cultural references. You can encircle them, put a highlighter, and then C, label using the abbreviations and categorize information according to author, readers, circumstance, purpose, date, individual's name, geography, and archaeology. Include the religious, political, social, and domestic customs. So what do I mean by that? For instance, look at if you see geography, for instance, then label that as G, readers R, author A, and then P for purpose, and so forth. You are asking, where do we get the information we need? Your primary sources would be the text itself and other ancient texts. Your secondary sources would be your Bible dictionaries, Bible encyclopedia, atlases, special surveys, introductions, and commentaries. I'm interested if you could use the textbook in the Old Testament It's in the library, but right now we cannot access it. But when times are better, I'd like us to consider that textbook. Number 5, your exercise. As you read Psalm 46, isolate and list some of the historical and cultural references, whether explicitly or implicitly presented. So this is for your exercise related to Psalm 46.